Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we'll be doing a comparison of two flagship level smartphones in the 40 to 50k price segment. We have the Xiaomi 11T Pro and the OnePlus 9RT. So many of you have been asking us to do a detailed comparison of these two devices including the camera. So initially we did the speed test comparison and found that both are equally good in terms of performance and memory management. But that's not the only thing to consider while buying a new smartphone. There are a lot of things including the display, camera performance, battery life, gaming and design, build quality, fit and finish, everything matters. So in this video, we'll be doing a detailed comparison of these two flagship level smartphones, the Xiaomi 11T Pro and the OnePlus 9RT. So before getting into the detailed aspects, if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. So starting at for 39,999, that's the pricing of the Xiaomi 11T Pro, while this is priced 42,999. So almost 3,000 rupees difference between these two devices. So which one should you buy? That's what we are going to talk about in this video. So first let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now if you look at the design, both of these devices are quite similar in terms of design elements, the camera placement, the rectangular camera unit, the projection for the camera unit, the back panel is glass. So almost similar, but again design, I would say it's more of a personal choice. Which of these devices looks better for you? You can get it, but both look really good. Now both have matte finish and both are finished in glass. Now even the front panel also, you can see that quite similar in terms of experience, because you get a punch hole selfie camera on the left side on the OnePlus 9RT, while it's on the center on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. So quite similar in terms of design. Both have the USB Type-C port, speaker unit is good, and both of them lack the 3.5mm audio jack. So again similar in terms of design. Now in terms of build quality, again quite similar. The OnePlus 9RT comes with a metal chassis, but the Xiaomi 11T Pro comes with a plastic chassis, but not much of a difference in terms of how sturdy these devices are. Now the back panel is glass, and we have Gorilla Glass support on the OnePlus 9RT, while it's a toughened glass on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. Now in terms of front panel, you get Gorilla Glass 5 on the OnePlus 9RT, while it's Gorilla Glass Victus on the 11T Pro. So both are really good in terms of build quality. In terms of design and build quality, we would say design is more of a personal choice. Build quality is really good on both the devices. Now next let's talk about the display. Now both of these devices have full HD resolution display and 120Hz refresh rate. It's an AMOLED panel and looks really brilliant on both the devices. Both are HDR10+. Now we have Dolby Vision support on the 11T Pro, and this also has really good 10-bit panel. So while both of these devices look really good in terms of display experience, but here we would be slightly inclined to choose the Xiaomi 11T Pro because of the Dolby Vision support, and it's also a 10-bit panel. So that's one of the things which makes the Xiaomi 11T Pro display slightly superior over the OnePlus 9RT. But both the devices have really good displays. So that's the display aspect. Let's move on to the software. Now software is kind of disappointing on both the devices, for the reason that both of them ship with Android 11 in 2022 for a flagship device. Both of them should have been ideally Android 12. Now both have custom UIs. We have the OS 11 on the OnePlus 9RT, while we have the MIUI 12.5 on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. Now in terms of software experience, I would say we have been using this device for quite a long time, and we do not see any sort of issues on either of them. Really good performance, whether it's a MIUI 12.5, it's vastly improved over the last year's MIUI 12, and even the OS 11 also works really well. So in terms of software, I would say it's more or less a tie, and again it's a more of a personal choice whether you like the ColorOS style OS 11 or whether you like the MIUI 12.5. So I would leave to your viewers to decide whether they like the MIUI 12.5 or the OS 11. Both are really good in terms of experience and the features being offered. Now let's talk about the performance. Now both of these devices have the Qualcomm's 888 chip and 12GB RAM and 256GB storage. That's the one we have tested, and in terms of performance, we would like to say again that it's a more of a tie. Excellent performance on these two devices. really good memory management as well. So in terms of day-to-day tasks, there is hardly anything to differentiate between the two. In terms of performance, both are equally good. Now when it comes to gaming, that's where the OnePlus 9RT takes the lead, because this is a really good device for gamers, while the Xiaomi's 11T Pro is not a really great device for gamers. But having said that, it's not a device which is really bad for gaming. That's not the case. But out of the two, OnePlus 9RT takes the lead in terms of gaming, with much better overall performance. On the Xiaomi 11T Pro, there is a bit of throttling happening with heavy gaming. So in terms of gaming experience, I would say the OnePlus 9RT takes the lead. Now next is the speaker performance. This is one area where Xiaomi 11T Pro takes the lead with Harman Kardon sound system. Both of these devices have good speakers, but once again Xiaomi 11T Pro has stellar speakers on the dual speakers are really stellar and tuned by Harman Kardon. So that's one area, another area where Xiaomi 11T Pro takes the lead. Now in terms of 5G network, both are well equipped. Both have 4G LTE, VoLTE and 5G support as well. Again, call quality, reception, everything looks quite similar. Now in terms of fingerprint scanner experience, we have a side mounted fingerprint scanner on the 11T Pro, while it's an in-display fingerprint scanner. Both are equally good in terms of performance. Convenience wise, I would say side mounted makes sense, but if you want a slightly more higher technology, probably the in-display fingerprint scanner, that's what makes sense. But in terms of performance, there's hardly anything to differentiate. Now next is the most important aspect, the cameras. So both of these devices have stellar cameras. So we have 108 megapixel Samsung sensor on the Xiaomi 11T Pro, while we have a 50 megapixel Sony sensor on the OnePlus 9RT. Now we have done a detailed camera review of both these devices. You can check out that video. Now comparing these two devices, which of these cameras are better? Let's find out. So in terms of camera, the Xiaomi 11T Pro has a 108 megapixel primary sensor, 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 5 megapixel tele macro, and you get a 16 megapixel selfie camera. And on the OnePlus 9RT, you get a 50 megapixel Sony sensor, then you get a 16 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel macro sensor. You also get a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Let's have a look at the camera samples and see which of these devices perform better. So looking at the camera samples in daylight condition, there is hardly anything to differentiate between these two devices. Both produces really good images, both are vibrant, both offers great detailing as well. The colors looks quite similar, but the sky colors are slightly vivid on the 11T Pro, but they are not saturated though. And if you look at the details here, if you zoom in and pixel peep, you can see here the 11T Pro offers slightly better overall sharpness levels, and overall daylight quality looks quite good on both the devices. So there is nothing much to differentiate between these two devices in terms of daylight condition, sharpness levels being better on the 11T Pro. So that was the daylight shots of these two devices. Now looking at the ultra wide, you have an 8 megapixel on the 11T Pro, while it's a 16 megapixel on the 9RT. Now if you look at the details, are almost quite similar. Colors are also similar. Sharpness levels are slightly better on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. That's quite surprising, even though it has an 8 megapixel shooter. So that's the ultra wide. Now macros, this is one area where Xiaomi is the undisputed champion with great detailing, where OnePlus 9RT can't even match the details offered by Xiaomi 11T Pro. Now moving on to the portrait, this is one area where we feel OnePlus 9RT did a better job, especially with the skin tones. On the Xiaomi 11T Pro, it was a bit more contrasty and not really the best portraits. This is quite surprising because Xiaomi does produce good portraits, but here OnePlus 9RT was the winner. Now moving on to the indoor low light shots, so here you can see that both did a pretty good job. While there is optically made stabilization on the OnePlus 9RT, that was not really that much felt. Now in terms of low light experience or other extreme low light, here you can see both did a pretty good job, but when you pixel peep, you can see that while the noise levels are slightly higher on the 11T Pro, the sharpness levels are definitely better on the 11T Pro. So again, in terms of extreme low light, while there is OIS on the 9RT, it didn't actually perform to the true potential of the OIS camera. So here again the 11T Pro did a slightly better job overall. Now moving on to the selfies, here selfies are more of a personal choice, but here you can see that OnePlus 9RT selfies are a bit too contrasty in nature, but again not bad, slightly better dynamic range, but the skin tones we felt was slightly better on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. So it's more of a personal choice, which one you liked you can select based on this. Now in terms of portrait selfies, neither of these are really good. They produce some decent results with decent edge detection also. Now moving on to the video recording, you can see that both did a pretty good job. Overall, there is nothing much to differentiate. Both have 4K at 60 FPS with stabilization offered. Here the color quality was slightly better on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. You can see that the overall color quality was slightly better on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. So that was the video recording. Both did a pretty good job overall. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the Xiaomi 11T Pro. It can record both in 60 fps and 30 fps at 1080p resolution. So you are right now seeing the 30 or rather 60 fps version of the selfie camera. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the OnePlus 9RT. It can record videos in 1080p resolution at 30 fps. So you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the videos and also the audio output. And that was a camera comparison, and here we feel the Xiaomi 11T Pro definitely has an advantage over the OnePlus 9RT as a more versatile camera with a better daylight, better macros, slightly better low light and even better selfies. One area where Xiaomi 11T Pro needs to improve is the portraits. That's where OnePlus 9RT did a slightly better job. The OnePlus 9RT has improved over the predecessors but still not as good as the Xiaomi 11T Pro in terms of camera. So that is a camera comparison, and overall we feel Xiaomi 11T Pro definitely has the advantage in terms of camera performance. Now coming to the battery and charging. Now we have 5000 mAh capacity battery with 120 watts hypercharge, while we have 4500 mAh capacity battery with a 65 watt of warp charging. Now while Xiaomi has a higher rated charger, the 120 watts, the charging speed for us was faster on the OnePlus 9RT. It took around 40 minutes, this one took around 32 minutes or so. So charging is faster on the OnePlus 9RT for us at least. Now battery performance is definitely better on the Xiaomi 11T Pro by a slight margin. This has 500 mAh capacity battery addition, and the battery life is really good on these devices. You can get like 5 to 6 hours easily screen on time on either of these devices. You can stretch to say 6 to 6.5 hours on the Xiaomi 11T Pro. So there is a slight advantage for the Xiaomi 11T Pro in terms of battery life. So that was our detailed comparison of these two devices. So which of these should you buy? Now coming to the pricing, this is priced 39,999 while this is 42,999. Now there are offers running on both these devices. You can get slightly for lesser price. Still the Xiaomi 11T Pro is cheaper than the OnePlus 9RT. Now which of these devices should you buy? Now let's have a look at the pros and cons of these two devices. Now where the Xiaomi 11T Pro shines is the better display, then camera performance, better sound experience and also slightly better battery life. Now where the OnePlus 9RT excels is it has faster charging, and then it also has a better gaming experience. Now other areas where these two devices make a tie is in terms of design and build quality, software experience and general performance. Both the devices are equally the same. Now again we have covered all the aspects. Now it's up to you to decide which of these devices fits you. If you are going for gaming, then OnePlus 9RT makes sense. If you are more into camera, the Xiaomi 11T Pro makes sense. If I were to pick one of these devices, probably I would pick the Xiaomi 11T Pro by a slight margin, because I am not a gamer. I don't game too many times. So for me, cameras make sense, and also the better display makes sense. So I would be inclined to choose the Xiaomi 11T Pro. But having said that, the OnePlus 9RT is close behind. It's not far behind. It's pretty close in terms of overall experience. So it's very difficult to decide one device out of these. But we have covered all the aspects, and you can decide based on that. So hope this video was useful. Do hit that like button and also hit the red subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.